Chapter 3. Savta Stories. So, we were talking about the Depression and the war. What was it like growing up during that time?
Well, like I said, I was born in 1933. Roosevelt was the president, and I was obviously not aware of what was going on for at least 8 or 9 years, 10 years. By that time, we were into the war. So my memories are more of the war years. And I remember the guys going, Sam, your Uncle Sam, leaving and going off to war. He was in the Navy, and your Aunt Sylvia went with him for a few different places in the country. Then he shipped out, and he was a Seabee in the Navy. They built things, and they used these certain type of boat to connect to other places, but I remember that he spent one Passover with a family in Tunisia. That was the Africa part of where he was. And Uncle Sheldon, he went off in the Army. He spent his time in Puerto Rico teaching.
Uncle Sheldon was
Aunt Ethel's husband. And Aunt Sylvia moved home. Aunt Ethel was in Hillsdale, which is where they lived, and she moved in with Uncle Sheldon's family there. Uncle Bernie graduated from high school in 1944. Then he went into the Army. He went into the Navy. But his time was in a program, V12 or something. And they sent him to school. So he was in college under the auspices of the Navy. I don't know what they were expecting to get from that, but so
in his getting a BA or a BS
yeah, he
or
was,
something.
Yeah, but they were paying for it, and he was a Navy guy. So that was the family dynamics. We were at the lake, at Cass Lake, every summer. And life was not so terribly different. Everybody had gas rationing, but it didn't impact us too much. And there was all kinds of other rationing, as I had mentioned before. I was in junior high, and every day after school, I'd stop in at the local grocery store to see if they had any of the ration goods. I always carried my little stamps with me, so that if they had butter or coffee, different things, I would be able to pick something up. And then I was a heroine when I'd bring it home. And, you manage. The ladies couldn't get nylons, so you painted your legs.
Oh.
And you put a line up the back, like a hem, a seam. And
What did you paint your legs with?
it was like almost a makeup type of thing. It was special for doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it looked like you were wearing stockings. And so that was what everybody did. They made good. They made, they did what they could do, and that was it.
What was the feeling like in our family at the time? Did your uncles want to go to the war? Did they?
Everybody
was there a patriotic
they were
feeling?
drafted. Everybody was drafted. And it wasn't a question of want or not. It was something you had to do. It was beholden of all of us to help with the war effort. And I will tell you, as I think back on it, if there was any conversation about the Nazis and the Holocaust, I was absolutely not aware of it. We did not, as far as I know anything about it.
Not in the papers or anything that you know of.
No memory of any of that. No memory.
Do you remember after the war when news came out of what was going on?
No, I don't have any memory of that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like 12 years old at the end of the war.
Right.
And you know, the thing was always that if my parents didn't want me to know what was going on, they just talked Yiddish to each other. And that was it. I always said I was a sandwich generation, because when Karen and Howie didn't want me to know what was going on, they were arguing. It was always in Hebrew, so I was always left out.
Did they speak in Yiddish a lot of the time?
Yes.
That's so the Yiddish from Poland and the Yiddish from Lithuania was
Yiddish. Yeah, there was no difference in it.
Did you learn Yiddish hearing it while you were growing up?
No. Now my sister Sylvia learned it because they were speaking it more when she was younger.
Mm-hmm.
And Ethel, she picked up a little bit. Bernie, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Bernie wasn't interested.
What was your relationship like with your siblings?
I was just thinking about your Uncle Bernie. Your grandma was so worried that he was so thin. And she used to invite friends over for him. One's was really had an appetite because she was sure that he'd see the friends and he'd learn how to eat, but never took off. And he was not really happy with me, Uncle Bernie. You know, there's 6.5 years difference between us, and he never missed an opportunity to give me a clop on the head. But thank goodness he's not clopping me anymore. And my sister Sylvia, of course, was 16 years older than me, and you don't have much of a relation. She was like my mother. She was my second mother, and one was enough. But when Sam went into the Army and she moved home, we shared a room. She moved into my room, which was not terribly exciting, but that was the way it was. And it was just, she was there. She went to work every day.
Where was she? At the theater?
No, by that time, and they were married, and she was teaching school.
Oh.
And Sylvia taught physical education in Detroit.
Oh.
She was, I used to laugh, went with her a couple of times. She would always have them, one of the things they did was climb the ropes up to the top. So I said to her, I said, I don't see you climbing the ropes. She says, I don't know how to climb the ropes. She says, I'm only teaching them. But she had a long life as a phys ed teacher. And Aunt Ethel was a teacher also. That's what you did in those days, unless you were a nurse. She taught school in Hillsdale.
What did she teach?
I think it was like first grade, something like that. So, but she got along real well with Uncle Sheldon's family. They were simpatico.
Mm-hmm.
They were very easygoing, sweet, nice people. You know, Aunt Ethel was 12 years older than me. It's not like we're going to be best friends. But we liked each other. She was nice. I liked her. But Uncle Bernie, he was mean. He was mean to me. Oh, well. I think he never got over the fact that I was there. And when my mother knew that she was pregnant, she was so embarrassed because what would people say? She was old. She was 36. and she's having another baby. And she was so embarrassed. My sister had a sweet 16 party. And my mother was there, but she wouldn't take her coat off because she didn't want my sister's friends to see that she was pregnant.
What time of year was the party?
It was not long before I was born, so she was really pregnant. And then my sister said to her after, "You don't have to hide it. Everybody knows you're pregnant." My mother was a very modest lady. In those days, I guess you were. And she always undressed in the closet. That's what modest ladies did, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Oh, that was the war years.
And all the kids in your family went to college. So where did Aunt Sylvia go?
She went to Wayne. She was the only one. She went to Wayne. Aunt Ethel went to Michigan. Uncle Bernie started in the Navy. I think he went to Ohio Wesleyan. And then when he got out, he went to Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I went to Michigan.
Did you ever think of going anywhere else?
No, as long as they'd take me at Michigan, that's where I wanted to go.
Not Michigan State or...
No. We were definitely Michigan people.
And was it hard to get in? Did you were there like SATs or any standardized tests? Or?
No.
Of course, you did very well in high school.
Yeah, I didn't have any problem getting in. I didn't even know that there was a possibility of a problem to getting in. I just sent in all my stuff and I was accepted.
But you were a good student.
Yes. Yes, I was.
How good of a student were you?
I was a really good student. I beat out Mary Ledoux by a fraction of a point. I don't think she ever forgave me. But I was a valedictorian. I think I know I got 1 B+ from an English teacher. And the reason I got it, not that I did not do very well, but I went to, with my parents, I went to Florida one year. And I took time off out of school. They took me out of school. And my teacher didn't believe that anybody who missed school for such a ridiculous reason was entitled to an A. There you go.
So, all A's and the 1 B+ from
Yep.
the judgmental teacher.
Right. That was it.
Did you enjoy school?
I loved school. I was the editor of the paper. I worked on the yearbook. I was in a couple of other clubs. It was fun. It's hard work. I like most of my teachers, and I took driver ed. That was a course then. And we got along well.
Did you have a favorite subject or a favorite class or a favorite teacher?
I think I liked history. I was not a science person at all. And but I liked English, literature, those things. I enjoyed school.
You're very good with numbers, though, for not being a science person.
Yeah, but after they stopped the part where that you add, subtract, multiply, and divide, I did okay in math. Don't ask me anymore. Algebra's like, duh.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I did okay in math.
So you applied to Michigan.
That was the only school I think I applied to.
Is that
So-
you said that's how it was in the family? Is that kind of how it was in the neighborhood? People went in state, and
I don't know of anybody who went out of state. It was just not done. You know, at home, it was $75 a semester. And who knows what it was out of state, but so it was $150 a year. I mean, I suppose my dad thought that was a lot of money.
did that include your room and board?
I believe it did.
And you lived?
I lived in the dorm my first semester because I went in January. I started in January when I was a little one, and I finished in January. And so I only lived in the dorm for a semester because the next time I was already living in a league house. I moved out
Why did you start in January?
because that's when I finished high school.
Oh,
They had midterm graduations then, in those days. See, I started in kindergarten. Instead of starting in September, I started in January, the January before my 5th birthday.
and why did they do that?
Why not? Why not? You know, I mean, I graduated in January. There were about 150 of us. So, you know, not like I was alone. There were a number of kids like me.
Was it evenly split, the kids who started in September? And
No,
kids
there was
who...
a much larger class in September,
Mm-hmm.
like 300.
Oh,
But it was nice because it was a small class, and you know, theoretically we were friendlier with each other.
mm-hmm.
And I made my own group.
Do you have a favorite memory or favorite memories of your childhood?
Are we talking, what kind of childhood are we talking about?
No, just growing up, any memory that sticks out as sort of a favorite time, or
No, not necessarily. I mean, I remember being with a group of kids and jump roping in the street, you know, you jumped in and jumped out, and that was fun. And I remember going to Johnny Wyman's house next door. Every Sunday night I went there because they made popcorn and sat around, and that was a favorite thing of mine, because he was my crush.
How old was he?
He was my age. His birthday was March 6th.
Mm-hmm.
Ask me why I still remember that, and I can't remember what I did 2 days ago. Can we stop for 1 minute?
Mm-hmm.
Mitchell, I'm worried about your head.